What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius banner review, and it's time to review the King's Knight collab that's coming to Global. We get a raid, we get sweet items in that raid, but are the units worth it? We're going to find out today. Are you spending those tickets? Let's get into the first unit. So let's start with the first unit on the banner, in Toby, a 3-star base going up to 5-star Thief unit. We're not going to cover too much about this unit, but we will go over the Trust Mastery. Trust Mastery is Turbulent Evasion, going to give you physical evade chance by 5%, wind resist 20%, and attack 10%. Overall, I think this TM is not very good. Maybe for the people who love to do evade builds, this may be something you're looking after, but other than that, you guys can already tell. I mean, wind resist is nice, but we have a lot of things to give us all resist. And all kinds of other stuff, so not too excited about that TM there on our boy Toby. Moving on, we have Righteous Thief as his limit burst, which is something to be excited about with him. Not the AoE 3.65 times when physical damage, but the AoE negate 2 physical attacks for 3 turns to all allies because it's AoE is kind of big. I mean, going into a fight where maybe you're pushing a threshold and it's going to be a big physical damage to everybody, you could throw this limit burst up and do that. And the way we're going to be able to use, I think, Toby, one, he's a thief, and you can see down here in Seeker of Things Unseen as a passive, 100% steal rate buff, so he's going to be able to steal all the time. It also allows him to steal gil from people, which is pretty good. So that's one of the ways you can use him. I think another way you can use him is he just sits in the back, possibly in some 10-man trial, builds up his limit burst because he does have camouflage. You can see 50% decreased chance of being targeted. He also has another passive where he'll resist death, and then he also has 30% physical evade in his kit already, so you can build him up to evade quite a bit. He has hide where he can remove himself from the game, and in that way he can just kind of stay hidden until it's his time to shine and use his limit burst, so he doesn't die off at being a 3-star, going up to 5-star base, not having the stats to back it up. Another thing I want to point out is he has Grand Larceny, which I love. That's the name of the move. It does some single target wind damage, and then also does a 50% wind imperil, which could be useful there, if anybody wants to chained up win, and it can imperil on their own, so that's the way you guys can do it. So overall, I'm going to give Toby a 6 out of 10 on Global. Not the best unit in the world, but he could find a little bit of use with that limit burst that I have above my head. Next up on the banner is one of our 4-star bases going up to 6-star, and Barusa. He is a physical cover damage tank. He's going to be able to AoE tank some physical damage, and his sprite looks awesome. He's a little dinosaur. I guess he's a dragon, but I mean, I want to call him a dinosaur. He reminds me of Reptar from Rugrats, if you guys ever seen that. Some people call him looking like Godzilla, but I think he's a very cool looking sprite. Let's get into the Trust Mastery and Coward Courage. 30% defense, 30% earth resist, and then he gives the ability Primal Instinct, and that's going to cost you 50 mana. It's going to be a 3-turn AoE physical mitigation, 30% to everybody. So, comparatively, you could compare this to maybe Pod. If you guys weren't around for the Near banner, Pod can give 40% physical damage for 2 turns, so you're sacrificing 10% physical damage mitigation for another turn of use. So, and actually, I think that's a pretty big deal. You know, it sucks when you're going into your whole rotation and have to keep casting it from Pod. So, overall, I think it's a very, very decent TM. However, if you already have Pod, you might want to pump the brakes on it and not worry about it too much. But other than that, if you don't have Pod and you're looking for a good way to put up your physical mitigation for a couple of turns, plus some great defense and earth resist, I highly suggest this TM. It's actually pretty sweet. Let's look over his limit burst, which I think is insane. AoE 3 times fire physical. Kind of weird for that to be on a tank. It's called Volcanic Eruption, so I guess it's got to have some fire. But once you get it maxed out, 74% fire imperil for 3 turns. That's a high fire imperil. That's going to be pretty good on teams that need to be doing fire damage. They want to chain up fire damage. So that's pretty awesome. He also has an ability where he can cast it on himself and put up his limit burst fill rate. I don't have it mentioned here, but that's something else he can do, which is pretty neat there if you want to be spamming that limit burst up there. Moving on, he has 2 kinds of force field. He has force field magic and force field attack. And what these mitigations are going to do is you can cast it on an ally. It's going to either do, if you use magic, it's going to do 25% magic mitigation and also buff the spirit of the target by 80%, and that's going to be for 3 turns. Guys, I do want to point out that this magic mitigation isn't working properly, similar to the way White Knight Noel's isn't working properly. Even if a move is magic, let's say a move is magic, physical damage. Remember how we talked about some of that before where it's a magic attack, but it does physical damage? This should still mitigate it, but it's not doing that right now. It's the same thing with White Knight Noel, so be aware of that. Next up, again, you have the physical version of that. It's going to give 80% defense, the opposite of Spirit there, and then 25% physical damage, and that's going to work just fine. I do not know why that's really bugs, but hopefully they fix it in a patch to come to make these units as strong as they could be. He has Adventurer's Guardian, which is going to be a 100% provoke for 2 turns, which is amazing. It also gives him 20% damage mitigation, and I'm going to take the time right now to explain because I was a little bit confused on the whole mitigation part here, okay? So how can mitigation stack in this game, and how does it work? You have 3 different types of mitigation in this game. One, you have physical or magic mitigation, excuse me, which means it actually specifies physical or magic mitigation. So that can go into a column here. Then you have just damage mitigation. So that would be similar to this 20% damage mitigation. That is stackable on top of the physical mitigation. So let's say the physical mitigation from Coward Courage. That's going to be able to stack with his 20% mitigation here and give even more mitigation against physical in a way because it stacks up. And then also anything that comes from a cover. So the mitigation that comes from a cover, similar to his Protector of Althea, 50% chance to cover physical with 50% damage mitigation for 3 turns. That also can stack with it. So in total, when you're thinking about a tank, you're thinking about all this damage, all this different kind of damage mitigation you could do. Those are the 3 different kinds that can stack up and make your tank even more tanky, so that's important. Again, Protector of Althea, very good, giving us that AoE cover, and tanks these days really need that pretty strong. And then he has, this move I just want to point out, it is a damage dealing move. He has another damage dealing move that does 50% earth resist down, so that's something I want to point out. But he also has Primeval Howl. Single target 3 times earth physical damage, but it's based on his defense. So maybe if you get his defense up there, you know, buff it up, doing a lot of stuff, maybe he can whip out a little bit of damage if you need to. You know, you're in that spot where it's like, oh man, if only my tank could be do a little bit more damage. And this is based on defense, so that's pretty neat. So overall, I think Barusa is okay. I think he has some uses. But at the same time, he's just not stellar. He doesn't really stack up to Warrior of Light, Veritas of the Earth, Wilhelm, White Knight Noel, I mean, Cognazo even. He's kind of down there. He has like little perks up here with the 74 Fire and Peril, but not the greatest in the world. So I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10 on Global. The TM's really nice if you don't have Pod, but you don't really have to be killing your Peril for breaking the bank to get him. Next up, I have to talk about something very sad. It is the next 4-star banner on this, next 4-star unit on this banner in Kaliva. He is a mage support that can go up to 6-star, meaning he can do a little bit of magic damage and support your team. And when I first read about him on the whole reveal when it came to, you know, the abilities when they had it on the little banner news, I was so excited because it said he could cast abilities thrice, meaning he could cast his abilities 3 times. But it actually doesn't work out as well as you think it would. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it for a minute. He has a Trust Mastery, which is a really great TM, and I think everybody should try to get a hold of in Unmatched Wizardry. What that's going to do for you guys, it's going to give 50% magic when single-wielding a one-hander and 10% spirit, okay? So this is essentially double hand, but in the magic realm of things. And now I know a lot of people are really excited about this, man. I can't wait to put this on my I always call her Global Sakura. It's Grimlord Sakura. I'm so excited to do that. This team is going to be awesome on her. Remember, guys, her scythe is 2-handed, so this will not proc on her. So you're going to have to be very careful on who you're going to use this on, because you have to outweigh, you know, is the 50% magic better than just having a rod in somebody's hand? You know, how is this going to work out? Now, for Kaliva, it's going to be really good. Not mentioned here, but he has a passive 100% magic double hand, which is the whole, if he's single wielding, he gets 100% magic. So that's pretty good on him. But other than that, you're really going to have to weigh your stats there and figure out where you're at. I do think this team is very important in the future. I've heard that CG Sakura, which is like Season 2 Sakura, is going to be very good with this. We'll find out, but I think I would not want to miss out on this TM. It is very, you know, how can I put this? It's very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Unique. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very unique. Not a lot. I haven't seen this before, and I would definitely try to nab it up. Let's look at his limit burst, which is kind of very strange. I guess this kind of goes more towards support abilities here. Ancient Incantation. AoE 30% damage mitigation for 3 turns. This is maxed out, by the way. Pretty good. And then he has AoE 74% ice and water resist for 3 turns. So if you're finding something that's going to do a big ice damage attack to you or some water damage, that's a lot of resist to be thrown on somebody. So I really like that. His limit burst actually is pretty sweet. Now, let's talk about that whole thrice casting of his abilities. He has 2 different types of abilities, and he has healing abilities, and then he has damage abilities, okay? He has focus magic healing, and then he has focus magic damage, I guess you would want to call it, damage magic abilities. And he has 2 abilities that will unlock this 3 times, so he doesn't get it passively. He's not going to be able to cast anything dual cast or buy 3 times passively. He's going to have to use an ability that unlocks it for 1 turn. So let's look at Icicle Press. It's going to allow him to focus magic for 1 turn. And what focus magic, again, is allowing him to cast focus magic abilities 3 times in 1 turn. And then it's also going to do AoE 2.2 times magic damage, and it's going to add a 50% ice and water imperil. So the move itself is actually pretty neat. He seems to be more of a support unit as I look over him, and less damage. But the only really focus magic damage ability I see you guys using is focus magic Frostbite, which we can see underneath here. AoE 2.2 times ice magic damage. Then it has consecutive use up to a 4.2 times max. So essentially, if you cast Icicle Press, It's over there. If you cast Icicle Press, you're going to be able to cast Frostbite 3 times in a row, maxing it out and doing that big damage. And from what I understand, when you cast Icicle Press again, the consecutive use should not have fallen off. A Frostbite, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there, but that's should be how it works. So then you're going to be able to cast 4.2 times magic damage, ice damage to AoE there if you want to do that. So that's something you can go with him. The other side of it over here would be his healing. So he has, or his supportive abilities. So that's pretty, he has 2 other moves, but it's like a weak water thing that heals himself, and then he has some little weak ice magic. It's nothing comparable to anything else in the game. And remember that focus magic only allows him to use focus magic 3 times in a turn, from what I understand. So it's not gonna allow you to cast, like if you put like Alterna on him, you can't cast Alterna 3 times, which would have been sweet. That's why it's disappointing. I had a lot of high hopes for this guy, and it was kind of a big letdown. Let's look at promotion. Allows focus healing for 1 turn. So, essentially, you can cast Promotion, then cast 3 of his focus healing abilities in 1 turn, then you're going to have to cast Promotion again if you would like to do that in 3 turns. AoE, 2,000, 3 times HP heal. Pretty strong heal, so that's going to help you out. So you can cast that to be healing your team and get ready to do a lot of supportive abilities next turn. And it puts up his Spirit by 80% for 2 turns. Again, anything that's under 100% at this point in the game with all the bards being released and ROM's enhancements on the horizon, you know... Oh, there's my kitty cat. Where is she jumping up to? She's jumping on my table. Anyway, that is going to be kind of negligible. I mean, it's there. It's whatever. So let's look at his healing moves he has. He has 3 healing moves, focus magic that you can cast, 3 times in a turn after using promotion. He has a 10% raise. So, it's kind of rough because I know you can cast it 3 times, or you can cast it maybe twice and then use one of his healing moves, or yada. She's destroying my green skin. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yada, yada, yada. But it's still only 10%. Come on, man. We need it to be a little bit more, but at least he has a raise. He can cast a lot. Then he has an AoE 1,003.4 times HP heal, which is a pretty hefty heal he can cast on everybody. He can cast that 2 times, 3 times, whatever he needs to, in assortment with the other 2 abilities. I think if I was going to be doing a healing turn after promotion, it'd be something like double AoE 1,000 times 3.4 HP heal, and then he's going to be doing the AoE 1,800 over 3 turns. I'm sorry, guys. My cat is attacking me, and I don't want to... Thank you, kitty. Anyway, sorry. He has an AoE 1,800 9 times HP heal over 3 turns. So that is a huge heal. That is 9 times 1,800. That is massive over 3 turns, allowing you to maybe take a couple turns off from healing if you need to. Have that in your back pocket. And again, like I said, you could cast double heal to make sure everybody's at full, and then cast the AoE one, so it's on you for 3 turns, and you're good to go. So overall, I'm giving Kaliva a 7.5 out of 10 on global here. He is not exactly what I wanted him to be. I can see him being very useful. His TM is very awesome, but he just doesn't have that mage power I was hoping for. But it was kind of cool to see him have a little bit of healing also. Alright guys, so overall, each person on this banner has been kind of a little lackluster. Not totally useless, but not something you really want to be going for. So we're hoping that Rayjack will get us there. Spoiler alert, he does not. Rayjack is a physical damage dealing unit, mostly light physical damage unit. 5-star base going up to 6-star. Knight in shining armor, if you will. Trust Mastery, White Knight Soul. 40% defense with heavy armor and 40% attack with helm. I think this is a great TMR. It is a limited time 5-star base unit, so don't kill yourself in trying to obtain it. We have other ways of maxing out our units. The defense is nice, and it is very useful as compared to Veritas. A lot of people are using Veritas of the Earth's TM. The Sworn Sixes TMs there that you normally take Veritas of the Dark, Veritas of the Earth, slap them together, get a lot of attack there. And it replaces, and you actually get the 40% defense if you can put a helm and heavy armor on, so not a bad TMR at all. However, nothing to, like, kill yourself over wells, so don't go too crazy to try to get it. It's fine. His limit burst is Hero of Legends, and it's actually pretty cool. AoE 8.4 times light physical damage, which is a huge modifier on a team where you're probably going to be doing light damage and have a light Imperil on him already because our boy Rayjack has that built in. And it has AoE light, so your whole team will have physical damage light added to their moves for 1 turn. So they're going to be able to do light damage. Now, this could be really good when you need to imbue some light damage on people. I could see it having its uses, especially in 10-mans when you're wanting to, like, throw all the chaining together that you can because you got to hodgepodge it out. That's going to be pretty cool. Other than that, it's going to find its uses. And then it has 100% attack and defense self-buff for 3 turns. Again, the 100% is the threshold, I think, for buffs in this game now, since the bards came out. So that's pretty decent if you don't already have it cast on yourself, but I'm assuming your bard or somebody on your team is casting that much anyway. let's move on to his abilities. The Stuff of Legends. AoE 50% light resist buff for 3 turns on the team. So that's pretty good. I like having a way to buff up our light resist, buff up our resistances from a damage dealer just in case we got to take a turn off and prepare for something big there. It also gives us a 40% attack and defense buff for those 3 turns, but not really that useful. We're really only looking at the 50% light resist there. He also has an ability called Rally, which is going to give us a 100% resist to attack and defense breaks for 3 turns. So, you know, when a monster would hit you and it would break your attack and defense down by a certain amount, that would really suck. Well, Ragejack's going to be able to stop that from happening, and that's pretty good to have on a unit. Sometimes you even just take an entire unit just to be able to do that, so you can avoid that nasty mechanic. Well, Ragejack's going to have it built in to give him a little bit more value. Next up, he has Sword Mastery, which is 50% attack when he has a sword equipped. I'm unsure on what his, like, I think it's called Lightbringer, his, like, go-to sword. I can't remember the rate if it's Great Sword or Sword. Let me know in the comments below. But if it's a Great Sword, why does he have Sword Mastery? I really wish that was Great Sword. We're going to be wanting to put an Excalibur on him anyway. So that Sword Mastery is very weird to me. I wish it was Great Sword. And then moving on, we have Kalim's Blessing, 50% increased physical to dragon, so he has Dragon Killer. 50% light resist up on himself, so he's going to be able to resist light very well and get up to 100% with the Stuff of Legends. And then he gets that 30% attack and HP passive, which is always really good. Moving on to his other abilities real quick here. That looks awful. Anyway, that's the best I could do today. Let's look at his physical damage abilities, alright? He has Holy Affliction, which is going to be an AoE 4 times light physical damage move. And this move right here is pretty good. I mean, you want to have a physical way, not a physical way, an attacking way to do AoE damage, get rid of trash mobs. You know, every unit you want to have a little bit of AoE built in for those times when you need it. He has it there in Holy Affliction. It's not a bad one. And then he has Sacred Strike, and this is the move that had to save Ragejack. If Ragejack was going to be good, if he was going to be meta, if people need to pull for him, this move had to be good, okay? And when you look at it, you kind of think, maybe Divine Runation-like. It kind of is like Divine Runation and everything but chaining. With single target 4.4 times light physical damage. Modifier's not that high. That's after the Ignore defense is added in. He gets a 50% light and peril for 3 turns, just like Divine Runation. But unlike Divine Runation, it is a 6-hit, 6-frame move, meaning that he is not chainable with anybody in Global at this current time besides another copy of Ragejack. That sucks. Like, nobody else has 6 frames right now. I think there are only 3 units in Japan that have them, and I don't think any of them are really that groundbreaking or good anyway. So I think they really screwed the pooch on the Sacred Strike deal here with Ragejack and kind of made him really bad, in my opinion. He does have a move called Helping Hand. 20% chance to counter physical, which half the time you're never getting hit by physical anyway with all these AoE cover physical tanks. But if he does, he has a 20% chance to put an AoE 10% HP and 5% MP heal on your entire team, which is pretty neat. And this is another thing that takes Ragejack far down the list for me. Order of the Blue Wing. I understand what they're doing. White Knight Soul, Ragejack's a knight, he saves everybody, he's triumphant. This move is going to give him 50% chance to cover physical with 50% damage mitigation, meaning your damage dealer could jump in front of someone and take the brunt of the damage, and maybe you don't really want that happening. Agrius tends to do this a lot, and you guys may be wondering, well, Agrius has the same move. Yeah, but Agrius is like a mini Orlando that could chain with Orlando or Veritas of the Dark. Ragejack can't chain with nobody, except for himself. So, and also, Agrius is a 4-star base. We're talking about a 5-star base up here. Come on. So I'm going to give Ragejack, as you guys can already see, a 7.5 out of Global. You notice a trend here. It was like 7.5 for Barusa, 7.5 for the Mage Healer, and then 7.5 here for Ragejack. They're not terrible, but they're not really that great either, so kind of weird here for Ragejack. So after all of that, is the banner worth pulling on? No. The big reason to pull on this banner is, one, if you're a collector and you really want to get a hold of those units because you're only going to be here for a limited time, and 2, that TMR, that magic TMR, that magic like double hand TMR that you guys can get a hold of is going to be very useful in the future. I feel like it's very unique enough to entice people to pull for it. Other than that, I'm going to give this a big fat don't pull on it. It's not worth it. None of the units are groundbreaking. None of the units are going to save your butt when you go try to fight Bahamut or the Marlborough Trial. None of these units are going to be insane in 10-mans. It's like the value isn't there. It's very disappointing because I love their sprites. They're awesome. So again, going down to free to play, do your dailies. You again try to get a hold of. If you like them, try to get them, man. They are collective value. They are limited time units. Dolphin, same. Do your dailies. Maybe do 1 or 2 11 pulls. And for the Wells, same exact thing. You can kind of spend a little bit of tickets. You guys do spend money in the game. I'm going to be spending 1 or 2 11 pulls in some of my tickets, my 4-star tickets to try to get the 4-star units. But other than that, you don't even want the 3-star unit, in my opinion. Just not really that good. So sorry there, guys. You could have done a little bit better on this banner, Goomy. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're going to be pulling on the banner, or which one of these 4 are your favorite out of these. And subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video.